1.5 million. We broke the record. Conflicting reports, but I'm hearing the highest gate they'd ever done here was 1.8 million, and the Rolling Stones or Elton John or one of those guys held it. Fight of the night was Stout versus Kraus. KO of the night was Sean Jordan, and submission of the night is James Kraus. So Sean wins 50,000, Kraus wins 100,000. Congratulations. And Stout gets 50,000. A couple of things here. Roy Nelson broke a UFC record tonight. 437 significant strikes absorbed without being knocked out. It's a new UFC record. Mir and Joey Beltran have been hit more as heavyweights, but knocked out. Roy does not get knocked out. And James Krause's Krause's sub at 447 of the third round is the second latest sub in a 3-round UFC fight night. So congratulations. You're rich and you got a stat. Who's first?
Well, James, obviously it's kind of like a life-changing win, first of all. Life-changing money that you just found out about. Can you kind of take us through?
So hope he passes the drug test.
You take us through how things went for you and how you were able to stay on him late like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, it was part of the game plan. Really, we just wanted to go out and put good pressure at range at him, throw some crazy stuff, be exciting. I love to fight for the fans. I'm not out here to get the decisions and stuff like that. I want to go out and I want people to want to watch me, and I hope I accomplished that tonight. I think I did. But yeah, that was the plan. Just be unpredictable and really just pressure.
You knew the stats on him coming in though, that he's just is a guy that doesn't get finished. So did that factor into your game plan at all, especially given that you took the fight, late notice like this and it's UFC debut, jitters, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I actually I felt great. I felt like I belonged here. Even in Canada, I kind of got booed or whatever. That's fine. I felt like I belong here. It's been a long road for me to get here, and I think it was just one of those nights for me where I was just on. I don't think anybody could have took this from me tonight. But yeah, I knew Sam was going to be really tough to finish. That's why in the first one, when I dropped him with the knee, I didn't really go crazy on him. He's just such a tough dude. I just wanted to keep playing it, and man, I did not want to go to decision here. I did not. So when I got a hold of his neck, I just it was for my life.
And real quick for Sean, obviously this is different than the last time you came up here, quite a bit.
Absolutely. It's nice to come out and actually compete and put on a good show for the Canadian fans. I'm happy to be here, and it was fun.
Is there a way that you can prepare for a guy like Pat, or was it just, we're just going to go out there and sling and somebody's going to get knocked down? I mean, is there a way to game plan for him?
You know what? I did my camp at American Top Team, and they have a bunch of guys out there that are real good strikers as well. So I had time to prepare, and had coaches really help me with game planning for him. Pat's dangerous, so you have to respect that and come at him and push him harder.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, you guys shared a moment, right before the fight, and you shared a moment after the fight as well. Can you let us, clue us in on what you guys talked about before and right after?
Pat and I are friends. We're from the same area, so we've known each other for a long time. But it's business. We come in here to work, and it's our job to put on a performance and compete. So we were just, talking a little bit, nothing important.
And then, Dana, I was just wondering, your thoughts on the main event, maybe how you scored it, and it was a split, obviously, so there's going to be some controversy behind it. But
there is and there isn't. I mean, I just saw Rashad in the back. Fight could have gone either way. I mean, if they said Dan won, I wouldn't have been shocked either. You know what I mean? It was just one of those fights that was so close, it could have gone either way.
And can you talk about, the significance, obviously, for Rashad in this? Because, as we talked about earlier this week, he loses 3 straight. That's probably it. He's not going to fight for a title probably ever again, as you said. But
yeah, I mean, I was talking to him back there. Tonight was a good night for Rashad because Rashad needed to get his head back in the game, physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. Obviously, he looked good physically. He's in the best shape I've ever seen him in. He came out and he fought a tough guy in Dan Henderson who can turn a fight and with one punch. Rashad got hurt with a jab by Dan Henderson. That's how hard he hits. But he needs, he needs to get tonight was a good confidence booster for him, hopefully, and he starts to let his hands go more. The old Rashad used to let his hands go, throw kicks, and hopefully tonight was a step in the right direction for him.
This question's for Stipe. First off, congrats on the win. You look good out there today. Just thinking, where do you think this puts you now in the heavyweight division rankings?
I don't know. Just ready to fight when they tell me. So.
Well, you guys are the one that decide that. So, but I'll just take a shot. Mark Hunt was ranked number 10. He probably drops out of the 10 spot, and Stipe comes in at 10 or 9 or something like that, probably. Just a shot in the dark.
And another one for Stipe. Did you have any kind of a special Croatian meal, maybe 2 days out before the fight or anything?
Yeah, some sarma and javapi. Can't go wrong there. Felt great.
Thanks, Stipe.
Dana, you were pretty vocal on Twitter about the decision in the Tyrone Woodley and Jake Shields fight,
right? Which
was a strange scoring sequence, wasn't it?
I thought it was. First of all, definitely not fight of the night, right? And yeah, I thought it was. I had Woodley winning 2 of those rounds, easily 2 of those rounds, and I barely gave Jake the second round. It was a bad fight all around and an even worse decision.
And also another phenomenal women's fight, very technical, obviously a lot of it on the ground. Congratulations to Alexis. What did you think of Rosie Sexton, and what do you think of the prospects, perhaps, of her being on what's rumoured to be perhaps a card in Manchester later in the autumn?
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good fight, and every time the women fight, it's never boring. I don't know. I'm sure it's possible. Joe?
Questions for Roy. It's not often that a guy who doesn't emerge victorious in the co-main event is actually up in the dais. Just want to know what's going on through your mind right now and talk about your performance.
You know what? I'm just really disappointed. I just really wanted to give the fans, 110%. Today I just felt really lethargic. I don't know if it was just like the 2 weeks, or I peaked, early, or a couple weeks ago. Or for my fight, back in April. So I just felt slow, lethargic. Nothing takes, from Stipe. I just hopefully next time, I'll have a little bit more time to, prepare for whoever I'm fighting. And the one thing about the heavyweight division is you always got to watch every fight because anything can happen.
With the whole situation with the contract, where do you see yourself with the next organization?
I go where the fans want me, wherever, Dana and Lorenzo want me to be with the UFC, then, hey, then I'll be knocking on Cain Velasquez's door, or whoever the champ is, when I'm knocking on it.
Your comments, Dana?
Yeah, I mean, I said to you guys the other day when I talked to you guys, I respect Roy. Roy has a great chin, hits hard, has great wrestling, great jiu-jitsu. He was a man about this contract. Like I told you guys the other day, his contract was up in July. We asked for an extension. He said no. He doesn't have to say yes. His contract's up. It's up. We got to get him a fight before the contract's over. We did. He stepped up. He took the fight. And do Roy and I always see eye to eye? No, we don't. But we made an offer to Roy, and we'll sit down and talk to him again after this.
Question for Alexis. Obviously, in your post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, you were tired, out of breath. Have you been able to absorb it now and just give us your thoughts on everything?
Well, now I feel pretty good. But, the fight was what I expected. It was a tough fight. I've watched a lot of tape on Rosie. She's not one to give up, and she's very hard to submit. And, I was just happy to go out there and hopefully, entertain the fans.
Got a question for Stipe. Can you just talk about what the game plan was? It seemed like Roy was pretty aggressive early on. You were using some footwork to stay away from him. Can you just talk about what you thought, how the fight would go, and if it lived up kind of to what your expectations were?
My coach just, said stay to the right, watch for the big right hand. I mean, his last 3 fights, he's dropped dudes with, the right hand. So just stay my right, use my angles, and pick them apart. And that's what happened. That's exactly what I wanted to do.
When you're preparing for Roy, is there, a lot of us kind of just say that you got to watch for the right hand, and that's about it. Can you talk about your camp and your mentality? Was it just the right hand you were looking for, or what were you specifically thinking about when you were fighting Roy?
Well, with Roy, he's well-rounded everywhere. I mean, he's a Brazilian, black belt. I mean, he's good against the cage, clinching. He throws bombs. He knocks people out. I mean, he's got 12 knockouts. I mean, the guy's doing something right. So I mean, you got to work with him. You got to worry about everything.
And Roy, I know this is a tough question for you sitting right there, but sitting there now, do you want to stay with the UFC? Is that what your first interest is in, to re-sign with the UFC?
My interest is I want to get past this loss and just fight. I mean, that's what a fighter does. Is I just want to get out there and fight and get another W. Like, when you lose, it's like, I mean, Stipe knows it, coming off of a loss. That's the worst thing to fight, is another fighter that's just coming off a loss, because all you want to do is just go out there and knock the other guy out, just because it's something that you just have to prove to yourself, and that's all I want to do is just, where that opportunity is, and, hopefully it's with the UFC. If they want me here, then I'll be here.
Dana, real quick, an interesting one. You guys just had a card that broke a record for stoppages and submissions, and this card, I think they're saying, tied a record for most decisions on a card. What were your thoughts, on the card overall? Obviously, numbers-wise, from a financial standpoint, fantastic.
All right. You trying to get me to say this card sucked?
No, absolutely not. I mean, the decisions were fun fights.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. If you look at the list of fight here, the fights that happened tonight, the Eves fight, that fight was an awesome fight. The Eves fight was great. Him and Dustin Page. The fight with Roland and Figueroa was very good. Sean Pearson and Kenny Robertson, I thought Kenny Robertson blew the fight in the last round. He had him hurt and didn't even try to finish him. He laid on his back the whole time. Even if you don't think you lost the first 2 rounds, you never know what these knuckleheads are going to do. You saw that in the Woodley fight, right? Krause and Stout, fight of the night. Let's just skip the next fight and go to Pat Barry and Sean Jordan. Great fight. The Alexis Davis fight. Let's skip the next fight. And then the co-main event was good, and the main event was good. So overall, I'd say it was a good night. Was it a record-breaking night of knockouts and finishes and excitement? No, but it was a solid card.
And then, Dan, real quick, obviously a second straight, obviously disappointing split for you. Just your thoughts overall on how things went in there?
I guess it could have went better. I just, left it up to the judges again. I got nobody to blame but myself for that. He kept the pressure on pretty well in that third round. I kind of was trying to take a little bit of a breather and then go back after him, and he kept the pressure on pretty well and didn't let me do that.
He wasn't able to take you down, though, at all. So did that surprise you, or did you plan to not be able to be taken down by him?
Well, I've wrestled before, too.
Obviously.
So, I expected him to have a tough time taking me down, yeah. And if I'm patient, it's a lot harder to take me down. If I'm trying to knock your head off real hard, it's a little bit easier sometimes. So I tried to be a little more patient because of that reason. I knew he'd be trying to take me down. He did about what I expected him to do with that. I knew he was going to not run the whole time. I knew he was going to stand and bang with me too. He wasn't going to be afraid of that, but yet try and take me down quite a bit to be on the safer side.
And as you said afterwards, that's a lot different from the Machida fight, which you told me on Thursday. You asked me, was that even a fight?
Well, not a whole lot happened in that fight, and it's it wasn't even comparable. I'm happy that Rashad stood there and he fought me tonight. He did a great job.
Another one for Stipe. Do you think that you had a big layoff there 9 months after the Struve loss? Do you think that helped you with the team at Strong Style to come up with a better training camp and get yourself better in shape and work on your striking and ground game more?
Yeah, I mean, no one likes losing, and makes you hungry after you lose. You want it more. So, my coaches, we sat back and looked at what we needed to work on, and that's what we did.
Did they help with the game plan we talked about a little bit earlier? But can you go over your game plan that your team brought together for this fight?
Yeah, I mean, just stay in my right, keep my hands up, watching for his big overhand right, and get him against the cage, try to take him down, but, just keep working, constantly on him.
Thanks.
Question for Dan. At this age, I'm sure it's virtually impossible to try and cut down to 185. But is that something you'd still look at?
Yeah, I'd consider it. I mean, I don't feel weak or overpowered at 205. But yeah, I would consider it. I weighed in at 204 today, and I didn't miss a meal.
Based on the 3 rounds with Rashad, I'm assuming you're fairly injury-free. How quick do you want to get back in there?
I'd like to, I got a couple trips planned with my kids this summer, so I'd like to at least have a summer this year and then get back in there before the end of the year.
Question for Yves Jabouin. Many of us were talking about the strategy you had. We thought potentially you're going to stand and bang with the guy, and you decided, I think it was Eamon in your corner saying you got to get that first takedown. Was that specific in that fight?
We definitely wanted to mix it up, not only keep it standing because he's a great striker as well. He's got dangerous hands. So the plan was to mix it up, to fight on the inside and score the takedowns.
Unbelievable how many submissions that kid got out of tonight. Great.
Question for Rashad. Congratulations on the victory, Rashad. How satisfied are you with the performance, and how far have you got to go to get back to what you were talking about, getting the sugar back in the Rashad?
Well, Dan Henderson's a very tough opponent. He's he takes a hell of a punch and he gives a hell of a punch. But coming off of 2 losses, it takes a little bit of hit on your confidence and just trying to work back and mentally to get your game where you want to, get your timing down, believing in your shots, believing in your punches and stuff like that. This wasn't my best performance by far, but it's something to start from.
Who would you like to fight next?
It really doesn't matter, to be honest. I mean, there's the way the light heavyweight division is now. There's a lot of guys, coming in new. Gegard Mousasi, and there's a lot of guys that are pretty tough. So it doesn't really matter to me who I fight next.
Could I just ask a question of Alexis, as well? How did you find the atmosphere tonight? Were you nervous going into it? And are you glad you're finally on this stage? And what do you want to produce on this stage? And have you got what it takes to beat Ronda Rousey down the line?
Of course I was nervous. This is UFC. This is as big as it gets. So, I tried to play it pretty cool, but the nerves still get to you. And do I have what it takes? It's up to everybody else to say, would I take a shot? I'd take it tomorrow if it was offered to me. So, I just got to wait and see what's going to happen.
Question for Rashad. Just at the end of the fight, obviously such a close fight. What's going through your mind at that point where just a loss at that point, that's suddenly 3 in a row, and you're on a completely different career path at this point? What are you thinking right before those scores are read?
Well, whenever it goes to the judge's decision, you never know how it's going to be. I've been on the good side of that, and I've been on the bad side of that. So you just kind of hope that, when the scores are read, that you did enough to win the fight. But you never know. You never know how somebody sees a fight going, and there's so many ways that somebody can judge a fight. So it's nerve-wracking to say the least. But I was just more or less thinking, whenever you lose a fight and you put so much hard work into it, it's really disappointing. That's the hurtful part more than anything. Finding yourself in your career again, that may be something that's more of an afterthought. But for me, when I lose a fight like that, it's more or less like, man, I just wasted 10 weeks.
And one just for Yves regarding the knee you took. Obviously, we can see the effects of it, but just how badly you were hurt when you took the knee, and if you spoke to the official after the fight where it looked to be an illegal knee.
I believe that it was an illegal knee. I think it made a hell of a difference in the 3rd round. It took me some time to get back from that knee, and I pushed through and I was able to get out and come back on top. But it was definitely a big factor in the third round for me.
Rashad, you talked a lot about getting past, some mental roadblocks coming into this fight. Were you more anxious than normal coming into this one? And was there a point during the fight, where maybe it kind of, clicked and, maybe you got past a little bit of that?
I was a little bit more anxious going into this fight for sure. But once you get out there and once you start going and getting hit, and once a fight starts and it happens, then it just kind of just like blurs together, and then it kind of go with the momentum of the fight, and you kind of like keep scoring your mind, kind of thinking like, okay, did I land this punch? He caught me with this punch and things like that. But for the most part, it just kind of blurs together, and it's not like I'm not so conscious of the afterthought, because when your mind is so present in the moment, you're not really thinking about all the things that somebody from the outside watching the fight is thinking.
Rashad, continue with the conversation we had a couple of days ago. Now that you've won at 205, push away the whole 185 talk?
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, 205 is my home. And, if an opportunity comes at me at 185, and it's a good opportunity, but for the most part, I feel good at 205, and I can't. It's hard for me to leave 205 weight class. I would love to get a shot at John Jones again. I would love to get back to where I was and where I can be. As far as going out there and just being spectacular every single fight. But it's the landscaping has changed. It's not like it's pretty tough, man. It's pretty tough. You have a lot of guys in here, and a lot of guys that are very talented, bringing different techniques. And, it's a different landscape. So I got to make some adjustments to my game if I'm going to be dominant.
I know you're probably going to say both, but I want to ask you, if you had a preference, would you rather fight for the title or get a rematch with John Jones? Should Jones perhaps lose to Alexander?
I'd rather just fight and just win my next fight, and we'll see what happens after that. One thing at a time. With the thing about with the media and everything like that, I just want to go in here and just enjoy competing. And enjoy each and every single opportunity I get to fight against anybody. There's a lot of up-and-coming guys that are pretty tough, and, got to mix it up in here, with the same, we've been fighting each other for a while with the same guys, same game of the fighters. So we got some new fighters in there, and we'll see if they mix it up in there, see if they can sustain and be a top like we were for a while. But, I just want to just fight and just enjoy myself doing it, and whatever happens after that happens after that.
Dana, if I can follow up on one of the tweets that you sent out there that, this fight sucked. Is that more on the fighters or on the officials for not potentially breaking them up or standing them up? I mean, do you have an opinion on that?
I think, no. Actually, now that you say that, I want to, Yves Levine did a great job tonight in that Woodley Shields fight. I like guys who, when they start clinching on the fence and that's exactly what they're going to start doing again, you break it up and you let the guys fight. Let them try to fight and win. No, the fight that I tweeted about sucked. It was a shitty fight. Sucked all the life right out of that place. I almost went home.
Dana, how was Winnipeg as a host overall?
It was great. Anytime we come to Canada, it's just such a great country, and everybody here is so nice, and every city is clean, and the hotels are. I love this country, just not in the winter.
Alexis, I was just wondering are you thinking back to your first night here in Winnipeg 6 years ago during your MMA debut, and how is it different now?
Well, really, I haven't thought too much of it right now. I've been just trying to, keep focused at the task at hand, but it does bring back, a lot of memories, and it has come full circle, making my debut here. But really, I love fighting in Canada, and I haven't for so long. And it always feels like I'm coming back home no matter where I am. So, I'm just happy to be here.
We'll take two more questions, if there are two more questions.
Roy, I noticed earlier when Dana was talking about your contract situation, you were shaking your head.
Roy doesn't agree with me? That's fucking weird.
No, as far as I know, I was told, fight, and I'm here to, save 161. Gave the crowd, exactly what they wanted to see, and went out and try to, do my best with, with the time that I had.
It seemed like after the fight, you wanted to say something there.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to, tell the fans that I appreciate them, and hey, I went out and gave 110%, and that's what I do every time. And I'm glad that, hey, me and Stipe, could help save the card, because the card went to crap. Because, the apparently $3 million and record breaking, it actually happened.
Question for Dana. Were you, surprised at, the behavior of the crowd tonight? It seemed to be a crowd that showed up very early, was very loud, a very full house from the get-go. Any just thoughts on the crowd tonight?
Oh, it was awesome. From the first fight, I can't remember what the number was, but they had a number for the first fight of the night of how many people were here tonight. And it was something like 11,000 something for the first prelim. You saw when those two walk in, place was packed. People were all going crazy. It was awesome. Really, really great experience coming to a new market like this with fans that were that pumped up. And I saw there was a fight in the crowd earlier. That's what happens when you have a shitty fight. People start fighting instead. It happens, but the place was awesome. Couldn't have been any better. Thank you guys very much. Have a great night. Appreciate it.